Hey there, and welcome to my lazy review of the new film Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which, if you couldn't tell, is a sequel to 2018's very successful Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And, when this was announced, I'm like, damn, guys, it's been a few years and time flies. And, 2023 hasn't been too kind to us with everything coming out. Shazam 2, and then Ant-Man 3, and then Guardians 3 was, it was okay, but not as good as it could have been. And then later on this year, we get this magical gem called the Marvels. So, to say the least, I have been looking forward to another superhero film, but the main thing for me is I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man 2099 and the character of Miguel. And unfortunately, before recording this, I checked fucking everywhere and I can't find my very first issue 1, which came out back in 1992 or 91. I gotta look it up. And yeah, oh well, but I do have a kind of a current one. This is from 2020. It's only 3 years old, but yeah, the character of Miguel, I always loved the character, the aesthetics of just the talons and stuff in Spider-Man 2099. And remember when this came out, this was the first time where he had organic web shooters built into his forearm. So it was a pretty cool character on top of the whole 2099 universe because they had, Hulk and X-Men and characters of that nature. So now, before I start pouring my drink, which happens with everything nowadays, is that back in 2018, things were slowly creeping up, and now we have certain issues that came up with the marketing and the trailers. We'll get into in a minute. All right, trying something different because I want to try something sweet and delicious, and who knows if it's gonna be better or not. But we have some cocoa divine chocolate. It says grape wine with natural flavors, cream, and artificial colors. By all means, what the hell bad could happen, right? So yeah, this film is definitely a lot longer than the first one. That could be a good thing and a bad thing. All right, so got some of this choco wine, right? All right, boys and girls, let's try this stuff and see if it's any good, and then talk about some spider people. Yeah.
Delicioso.
So yeah, it's been 5 years since the last film, and as I always talk about, because I care about your money and my money, except that, I'm using the Regal app, so I didn't pay for this shit, but it comes down to, did I like it? Should you go see it? Should you spend your hard-earned money checking out a sequel to a film that came out 5 years ago? And what is the controversy? Before I talk about this stuff, I have an intro that I want everybody to enjoy, and let's start this up. Cheers. Mm. All right, I gotta hurry up and talk to you guys because I'll drink this whole fucking bottle. It's delicious. All right, so again, it's been 5 years for us since the last movie, but inside the universe, it's been 1 year. And minor spoilers because I have to tell you guys what's going on with this damn movie is that after the events of the first film, some time has passed and we have the first 20 minutes and we don't even see Miles Morales. And in case you didn't see the first film, which I don't know why you'd watch this for, but some people out there didn't watch the first film. Miles Morales was the main character of the first film, and then we get side characters like Spider-Pig and Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man Noir, things like that. So Gwen Stacy, she owns the show for the first 20 minutes, and I didn't mind this because Gwen is a very interesting character, and if you don't know the character of Spider-Gwen, Spider-Gwen is an alternate version of Gwen Stacy because in Spider-Man lore, Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker's first real girlfriend, is killed by the Green Goblin. Now in her universe, instead of her dying, Peter dies and she accidentally kills him because she doesn't understand or she doesn't realize at the time that he's the lizard. And it's the whole drama of like losing her first real friend and she's being lonely. And then she wants to get the approval of her father because just like in regular Spider-Man lore, her dad is part of the police. And now her father in her universe wants to take her down because he, witnessed basically the lizard dying in her arms and he thinks that she killed him, but she didn't. And it's just the whole drama of being a spider person is that it feels like you're always hunted by the police or somebody and you're always misunderstood. And Gwen just wants to fit in and it's very good drama and I did appreciate it. So, hey, you know what? Have a drink for Spider-Gwen.
She's a good person.
During a fight, Gwen is now introduced to the Spider Team, who is headed by Miguel himself, Spider-Man 2099, and also a very race-swapped character of Spider-Woman. And I was going to wait to talk about the controversy, but fuck it, we're here, we're now, let's talk about it. And I see both sides of the argument because a lot of times people feel like, it's the whole women empowerment thing and forcing characters into situations that they shouldn't be. And this character is very, very pregnant and you can see it. Now, I told people online, like, listen, I'm a dude and I've got three sisters, but by all any means, I am not a doctor. So I've known women who've, left work at 4 weeks pregnant. I've known women who worked until the kid popped out of them. And I see some people's viewpoint like, well, a pregnant woman shouldn't be in these kind of situations. She shouldn't be dangerous. She shouldn't be putting her baby at risk. But also, I'm like, well, guys, you have to, at some point, suspend disbelief because in the first film, we had a character called Spider-Ham. Also, we had like a Spider-Verse car and stuff, which is a sentient car. And with the whole multiverse aspect, we have different characters across the multiverse. So I'm like, if you can believe that a pig can walk and talk, and then a pig can get spider powers, and also a teenager of Peter Parker can get bitten by a radioactive spider and gain superpowers and climb walls and shit. Also bench 10 tons, fight the Incredible Hulk, join up with Thor and fight Thanos and shit like that. I mean, I don't know, but a woman being pregnant, web swinging, it's not that much outside the realm of fucked up shit going on. So whatever, just go with it.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too.
So they want Gwen to join their team, and then after some time, we get back to Miles. Now, Miles, always been a controversial character, but I give them credit that he's not just Peter Parker 2.0, at least in these movies, because in the comics, the biggest criticism of Miles Morales is that he's just basically Peter Parker with a different shade because he gets into so many situations that Peter Parker gets into. He has dialogue that Peter Parker would use. He even fights some of the same villains that Peter Parker does. In this film, he does, start becoming more of his own man, and the writers do flesh him out more of a character instead of just being Peter 2.0. And at 15 years old, he's just having the usual spider people troubles. He's trying to do good in school, but also be Spider-Man, but also he has to lie to his parents about his secret identity. And some time passes by, and then guess what? Gwen shows up, and she's like, Miles, how you been? But then, some shit's about to hit the fan.
War is coming.
Gwen does not want to tell Miles about her whole new job in this whole super secret police force, which is like Men in Black style. But this new bad guy comes up called Spot. I mean, not really original, but he has these very unique powers. And to say the least, they get into a fight with this guy, and things aren't going so well. And over time, eventually, Gwen has to show Miles with this whole super secret police Men in Black thing, and Miles then gets to meet Spider-Man 2099, eventually Peter Parker from the first film. Peter pops in, and now look, he has a little baby, May May, and I'm not gonna lie, she's the most cutest, adorable thing in the whole fucking movie.
Oh, she is so cute.
Unfortunately, Miles is not there long, and then shit hits the fan because Miguel, he's kind of like, it depends how you want to look at it, but he's almost like Doctor Strange in this aspect. Right now, minor spoilers because I have to talk about it, that he even references the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. And now the entire plot of that film was Peter fucking up the timeline, but also him messing up the whole multiverse. Miguel feels the same way, to the point where Miguel even says, like, don't get me started on Doctor Strange. And of course, Miles and Gwen are like, who the hell's Doctor Strange? Because he doesn't exist in their universe.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999-99.
Here's where the amount of spoilers are in. Depends if you like them or don't like them, but there's a ton of fan service and Easter eggs, and to the point where you don't see the actors directly, but you even see footage from previous live action Spider-Man films. I'm like, okay, Easter eggs, fan service, fuck it, I'm happy.
I want more.
Now, the issue is Miles, just like Peter Parker in No Way Home, wants to save everybody. And Miguel, just like Doctor Strange, is like, kid, listen, sometimes you can't save everybody. Sometimes some people have to go. And even if you may save one or two people, you think you're doing the right thing, but because you are breaking continuity, I think they call it the canon, like the breaking canon concept. I forgot the exact words, but it's like basically if you save one or two people, in retrospect, you are sacrificing the lives of millions of people. If not, some entire realities get fucking destroyed.
You have a choice between saving one person and saving every world.
And Miles, a very important thing is going to happen, and you can't stop this. And of course, Miles is like, you know what? I'm going to fucking stop this, whether you like it or not. And that's pretty much the rest of the film, because it's coming down to Miguel versus Miles in a sense. And I mean, I see both their aspects, both their viewpoints. Miguel, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he has to stop Miles from making this very terrible decision. And it's a big cat and mouse chase between the two characters. And that's pretty much it. End of movie. See you later.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
But yeah, storyline wise, that's it. And it does have this big to be continued at the end. And that did piss some people off, but I wasn't mad considering I know this will be, part 2 of a trilogy, or who knows, even more. So now the question people have is that, did I like it? Should you go see it? And I mean, let's just get down to the good, the bad, and the controversy. Let's just talk about the good, because the good and off the bat is that the visuals. I mean, guys, I've seen this in theaters, and this is why I still have no problems watching something at home. But certain films I feel need to be in the theaters. And it's been 5 years since the last movie, and this film just looks that much better. Like the animation is like nothing you've ever seen. It's so beautifully drawn, it's crafted, and these characters, I mean, technically speaking, CGI, you could do stuff in live action, but the way they move, they like this is by all accounts a like living and breathing, walking, talking comic book, because all the spider characters from Miles to Gwen to Miguel, they move in a way that I think if it was live action, it would look pretty goddamn silly. But in terms of a spider character, it's fucking awesome.
Beautiful.
There is this term that is called death by a thousand cuts, and a term like that for this film is more prevalent than ever, where it's like I didn't have any one big issue with this film, but I can see where some people are picking apart small things, and for them it does add up. And just something small, for example, where there's a scene with Miles and his parents and his teacher. They're having this parent-teacher conference about Miles missing school and skipping out and stuff. And on his backpack, of course, you see a button that says BLM. And right there, I was eye rolling and I'm like, oh, of course, why not?
Oh, come on!
And that's a thing which I'm not going to harp on too much because I want to move on and shit. And just that, you know, these things, like it or not, they are political statements. And what, because Miles is a certain skin tone, now automatically he has to join a political organization. And that was never a problem with the previous film. And that's never been an issue because people, you know, they go to the movies, they read comic books, they play video games, they go see films like Spider-Man No Way Home and every Tobey Maguire film and Andrew Garfield film because they want escapism. And it's never been an issue before. Why is it an issue now for? And for me, because again, I just eye rolled, it's not a big part of the film. It doesn't play into the overall fucking plot, but also it's the point that somebody put that there for a fucking reason, okay? Because it comes down to Miles, he should be focusing on, and the main focus is saving the goddamn multiverse, not worried about some bullshit political organization. And I don't care, it's whatever, just, you know, move on, okay? So the main issue for me is the pacing of the film, and the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, it was an hour and 40 minutes long. This one is clocking in at damn sure 220. It's 40 minutes longer than the first film. So yeah, this film is damn sure too long. Also something that no girl has ever said to me.
It's so fucking small.
So with a runtime of basically under 2.5 hours, I can see for some people and bringing their kids, this may not be a good thing. And it's like, if I had to be honest, I feel like some scenes they want dragging on a little bit too long, and some dialogue, it kind of gets repeated in a sense, and it should have been, you know, shortened down and stuff instead of padding the runtime. So I overall feel like the movie should have been minimum 20 minutes shorter, if not 25 minutes shorter, and it would have been a better film. So overall, how do I feel about this film? Should you go see it? And as a sequel, I think it's like, yeah, technically speaking, visually, music and stuff, and the way these characters move, it is a better film than part one, but it's also been 5 years. I do think that part one has better pacing and an overall better story and like a way to flesh out the characters than the sequel. I don't think part two is a bad film by any means, but I don't think it's as enjoyable as the first one. And I'm hoping whenever we get to the Spider-Verse 3, these guys, like, they don't cram so much into one movie. It's one of the situations where sometimes, guys, you're throwing too much into a film, and when you're doing that, you're not covering all the fucking plot points, and some of the characters are getting way too much airtime that they don't deserve. And yeah, I hate to say it, but sometimes less is more.
You do too much. College, a job, all this time with me. You're not Superman, you know.
So in the end, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I liked it. I didn't love it. I think it's good. I think it's not great. Compared to the first film, it's a good movie, but not as good as the first film. It's an okay sequel. And yeah, I would say if you want to take your kids to see this, in terms of a theatrical experience, this is a very breathtaking film to watch in the theater. But if you don't want to sit down for 2.5 hours on top of waiting for the half hours of fucking previews, at least when you're at home, it won't be the same, but watch this at home and appreciate the visuals. And there are some good plot points because, again, I like the stuff with Gwen Stacy and her father. I did like the moral questions that Miguel has to throw at Miles. There is a lot of good to this film, but unfortunately, there's also a lot of fat that has to be trimmed, and I feel like these glaring issues weren't a part of the first film.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man.
So I'm going to finish drinking because I'm starting to get kind of drunk and slipping and shit, and this wine is fucking awesome, all right? So what I always do is I have to check my watch. I have to edit this shit. I'm low on time. I've kind of been starting this new job and it's going back and forth, and still, like my last job, one thing I have to say about it is this.
I hate my job!
Across the Spider-Verse, if you see it, if you love it, hate it, comment below. We'll talk about it later. And as always, let's grab Bender, okay?
This calls for a drink.
I don't care. This shit is goddamn delicious, alright? I'll see you guys later. But now I have to head back to work.